announces rescue of abducted 400-level student. NERC finds 8 electricity distribution companies 628.03 million naira over crazy billing. On the foreign scene, defense ministers from about 30 countries met in Brussels to discuss reassurance force for Ukraine. Good evening, this is News at 7 on Western Spring Television. My name is Olufemi Alagbe. The federal government has predicted heavy rains and floods in 30 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja. The high flood risk states are Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, Zamfara, and the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Joseph Osev, made this known today, noting that coastal and riverine flooding would be experienced in some parts of the South-South geopolitical zone due to a rise in sea level. Osev stated this during the public presentation of the 2025 annual flood outlook by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency in Abuja. The minister disclosed that flooding remained one of the most devastating natural disasters in the country, with climate change accelerating its frequency and severity. The 2025 annual flood outlook was segmented into 3 parts to address the pressing challenges of the flood disasters and provide information for mitigation, especially in the most vulnerable communities. To security matters, the Kebbi State government has announced the rescue of a 400-level student of the Federal University, Burning Kebbi, Augustine Madubia, who was abducted from an off-campus hostel. The student was rescued by police operatives in the Dakingari forest of Suru local government area after they tracked the trail of kidnappers. Deputy Governor of Kebbi State, Senator Umar Tafida, alongside the Commissioner of Police, Sani Bello, and the Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Zayan Mohammed, visited the off-campus hostel where the abduction took place. While announcing the rescue, the Deputy Governor reaffirmed the state's commitment to the safety of students in all tertiary institutions across the state. Giving further details, the State Police Board said the student was abandoned by the abductors following sustained pressure from the police. He also affirmed that no ransom was paid. Both the state government and the police assured the security around the university and its surroundings will be further strengthened. In the meantime, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has refuted claims that he dismissed the recent concerns raised by the Governor of Borno State, Babagana Umar Zulum, regarding the security situation in the state. The minister, in a statement signed by his media aide, Rabi Ibrahim, described the news report as false and a gross distortion of minister's remarks. Ibrahim stated that at no time does the minister say the governor should be ignored. Boko Haram was not taken over Borno, noting that such a headline was deliberately crafted as an act of misinformation meant to incite public misunderstanding. He explained in the minister's response to media inquiries regarding Governor Zulum's remarks. He acknowledged that while the federal government has made significant progress in restoring peace and security across many parts of the country, some areas continue to face security challenges. The minister further called on all stakeholders, including state governments, to continue partnering with the federal government to bring lasting peace to affected communities. He added that the minister's comments were intended to provide context on the progress made, not to dismiss or downplay legitimate concern. Moving on, a legal practitioner and law lecturer at the University of Hull in the United Kingdom, Dr. Misbah Lateef, says the appointment of local government administrators in Rivers State by the sole administrator, Ibogita Ibas, is an extraordinary act. Speaking on Western Spring Television's Morning Spring, Dr. Lateef said the sole administrator has been working in line with constitutional provisions, while he emphasized that the sole administrator does not have absolute powers. The lawyer maintains that he holds extensive authority enough to make executive decisions similar to those of an elected governor. The reporter stated that the sole administrator is within his constitutional right to engage the state bureaucratic structure to prepare budgets in line with the goals of the interim government.
Sole administrator has just been working to terms. I mean, doing extraordinary things. However, I would say unfortunate or maybe strange, they may appear, or even difficult for people to accept. He has been doing extraordinary things, and the Constitution anticipates that he will do extraordinary and extra, I would say, legal things. You can check Section 305, sub 3C, where the Constitution says the president can appoint, and then to attend to or to the extent of addressing extraordinary power and all of those things. So yes, he has been doing extras. He has been doing more than we expected. He has been doing more than we were used to. And that is basically why I think there is so much controversies. So yes, he has been working extraordinary. The sole administrator can engage the bureaucracy of government to prepare budget according to the vision of the emergency period. And such preparation or document will be forwarded to the National Assembly, who will then enact it into law, because you need to spend money. I mean, they can't spend state fund without proper appropriation. And that's one of what led to the emergency in the first place. So basically for me, I think what people have failed to come to terms with is to appreciate that this is an emergency situation. And as I've said earlier, unfortunately so, emergency, extraordinary things will continue to happen as they have happened in the past. I mean, this is not the first time we are witnessing an emergency in Nigeria. We've had it shortly after independence, 61, 62, the Akintola Taku story in the Western region, okay? And then in the Fourth Republic, under Obasanjo, and now again, and even under Jonathan. Of course, they have come in different versions based on the peculiar circumstances of the past. For example, this is the second time we will see the political actors themselves being the source or the reason for an emergency. The first time we saw that was in the Western region, when the then Premier SL Akintola refused to leave. And it led to the popular Yoruba saying that Akintola Taku, he refuses to leave power. And then they had to declare an emergency. I mean, it's a very long story. But in the rivers too, the political actors themselves, they were at the center of the conflict. They were the reason for the emergency, not insecurity per se, but they caused it and then led to insecurity. So for me, really, what I'm saying basically is that people need to come to terms with what an emergency means.
Turning to politics, the Publicity Secretary of the Osun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Kennedy Peratier, has resigned from the party. Peratier made this disclosure via a statement he issued and made public in Akure, the state capital. The politician revealed that those who claim to be the leaders of the party have the intention to win elections now or in the future, and noting that it was difficult to work with people whose interests are only themselves. He stated that he has made various contributions to the party at every opportunity, lamenting that the leaders of the party have brought it down. Reacting, the Osun State PDP in a statement said it was within the rights of Mr. Peratier to belong to any association of his choice. The party, however, described Peratier's allegations as vulgar and a desecration of the PDP. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it has not taken a final decision on the delineation of wards in the Warri Federal Constituency. There was a protest at the headquarters of INEC in Abuja on Wednesday, estimated billing for unmetered customers. The Commission conveyed the sanction in a release on Thursday, explaining that the action was a sequel to a review of billing practices between July and September 2024, which reveals that the affected DISCOs failed to adhere to monthly energy caps issued by NERC. It said the fines represents 5% of the gross overbilling during the period under review. The NERC also mandates the affected DISCOs to provide credit adjustments to all overbilled customers by May 15, 2025, coinciding with the end of the April billing cycle. It further emphasized its commitment to consumer protection and regulatory compliance with Nigeria's electricity industry, reiterating its stance against arbitrary billing practices. Here in Osun, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Independent System Operator, Engineer Abdul Mohammed Bello, says the establishment of NISCO is the outcome of years of power sector reforms, driven by the need to deliver better services to Nigerians. Engineer Bello spoke today during a technical tour of the National Control Center, Osogbo, where he interfaced with the management and staff of the center. According to him, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has made it clear that the role of system operators must now be fully independent, transparent, and neutral. He noted that their duty now goes beyond grid stability, adding that it includes ensuring fairness, equity, and accountability in all aspects of system operations and market administration. Engineer Bello visits comes after the federal government on Tuesday inaugurated the board and management of the Nigerian Independent System Operator. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, had earlier revealed that the Transmission Company of Nigeria will be restructured into two entities, the Independent System Operator and the Transmission Service Provider, CSP.
You know, it's the watchword, because if we're not transparent, the market participant, remember generation, TSP, distribution, will not have the confidence, will not have the trust in us to invest in the system. It's only when there is transparency and there is trust that investment will come in, generation will establish more, TS will expand, and distribution companies also expand their, and customers will get more support. So that's what we need. So that trust and transparency are the key words, and that we have to entrench in NISCO. For Nigerians, we have to really appreciate the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces for allowing this reform to happen, because that's the only time you will create the trust and transparency in the system we have been talking about. And the trust and transparency, like I explained earlier, are the pillars for the investments coming in from generation, transmission, and distribution. So once that is done, once that the trust transparency is established, you will see investment coming in. People will be comfortable to bring in their resources, their funds. Otherwise, we will be stagnant. And even to maintain the status will be very difficult. So that transparency and trust is very key.
Elsewhere, the Anambra State Governor, Chukwuemeka Soludo, has signed 6 new laws amid fostering investment and security in the state. The signing took place at the Governor's Lodge in Amawbia, where the governor was joined by key officials, including the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Somtochukwu Udaize, the Majority Leader, Ikenna Ofodeme, among others, in a press statement by the governor's press secretary, Christiane Aburim. On Thursday, the newly enacted laws encompass a diverse range of areas that reflect the administration's commitment to improving the lives of the citizens. Notable among them are the Anambra State Development and Investment Corporation Law 2025 and the Anambra State Electricity Law 2025, which are anticipated to bolster the state's economic landscape and energy infrastructure. During the signing, the governor praised the collaborative efforts between the executive and the State House of Assembly, emphasizing the positive impact the laws will have on the people. You're watching News at 7 on Western Spring Television. Still to come, Russia and US bring SPA workers and tech smuggler back